A very warm welcome to all of you to this event. Being the change, the power of the heart in uncertain times. Just 4 weeks ago we found this place. We started really, and we are now amazed by so many people showing up to this event. And we also say a warm welcome to people in the live stream, to people globally. Yes, we're really happy that you're here.
Hello, everyone. So as it might be special for you to be here, it's very special for us to be here. Actually also to stand here, it's very special because I'm not really sure where to look at. So I think I will gonna turn circles the whole night so that I can see everyone. So it's really, really great to have all of you here tonight. Yesterday when I thought about how this event came to life, I had this image of an anthill, an Ameisenhügel in my head. Because only very, very few weeks, as Martin said ago, there was maybe one ant who said, have you heard, there will be a volunteers gathering. People from around the world might come to Austria. Let's come up with a big gathering or event. And one ant talked to the other, and the other talked to the others. And all the ants were moving, like really excitedly moving around. And all of a sudden, in all directions, in every corner of this anthill, people knew, okay, something's gonna happen. Let's do this. But what's so special about tonight and about how people come together here is that it was not only information that went from head to head, but more specifically, it was an information that went from heart to heart. And we really hope that you feel from all our open hearts, from big hearts, really welcomed. And we hope that not only we as the volunteers who came up with the whole thing share our open hearts, but also everyone who is sitting in the room.
So what's this evening really about? Just also today, 4 weeks ago, I received an email by Nipun suggesting a theme for tonight, human murmuration. So many of you might wonder, what does this mean? And a murmuration is a stunning dance of hundreds and thousands of birds, of starlings, birds in the sky. They move together as if they were one body, not in chaos, not in separation, but in coherence. So when we say coherence, what we mean is a kind of a natural harmony. When individual beings turn to each other, so that something greater can emerge. It's not about everyone being the same, but about moving together in a way that feels connected and alive. The Nobel Peace Prize laureate Ilya Prigozhin said, when a complex system is far from equilibrium, small islands of coherence in a sea of chaos have the capacity to elevate the entire system. And when we look outside, we not only see a complex system far from equilibrium, we also sometimes can perceive it as a sea of chaos. So our invitation for tonight is to explore who do we need to be so that we can be part of this human murmuration, a movement of togetherness guided by the heart. How can we, in uncertain times, move in ways that carry us beyond fear and separation into a shared flow of aliveness? And how can the power of the human heart be that invisible force which can make a decisive difference in a time when there is so much at stake?
So tonight people from all around the world actually come together not to plan change, but to experience the deep meaning of change, community and heart coherence. And some of us, it's around 10, 12 people, we're going to do it a little bit spontaneously in between, are going to share stories. Some going to share poems, others share songs. And all of us are invited again to share their open hearts, because all of us share our time and presence tonight, which is really wonderful. So thank you very much to all of you for being here with us. Our first guest, he shares his gift of connecting people through music. Bryan Benner, whom you can see over there. Hi, Bryan. Bryan, Bryan is originally from the United States, but has been living in Vienna for many years. As an opera singer, a multi-instrumentalist, he feels equally at home on the concert stage, the opera house even, and on the streets of big European cities. We are truly blessed to have him here tonight. Thanks so much for sharing your song, The Modern Man.
Letting go of who I used to be leaves behind a whole new soul, one that I don't know. It's the only way that I can see that I could ever be alone and happy on my own. I find my peace at the end of me, the end of me, and I love again only when I'm free, when I'm free. To know myself, I look out at the world, but to know the world, I look back inside myself. It's the only way that I can know which voices are my own, which ones I don't need. I find my peace at the end of me, the end of me. And I love again only when I'm free, when I'm free. Only when I'm free.
Thank you so much, Bryan.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Bryan, for helping us open our hearts, actually. That really helped. No, it's wide open, right?
And what's important for us to not only have a show here for you, yeah, not only have one thing which is one to many, but we also want to involve you. So actually, we want to have you now talking, just to a person next to you, about what brings you here. Maybe very short, 1-2 minutes, maybe to a person that you don't know.
It's important.
Yeah, and one thing which is important before you start is that there is a sign. When I raise my hand, you are invited to also raise your hand and shut your mouth. This helps to become quiet very easily. So just share 2 minutes now, 1 minute of one person, then I do a ding, and then the second person can start to share what brings you here. What brought you here to take the time?
The hand, oder? Martin. Shall we?
So you can switch the second person. Thank you so much. Thank you. It's beautiful to listen to this murmulation.
Okay, so at this point we have to switch the script, as we said. Maybe I share the story how I came here. Around 3 years ago, I met Martin actually for the first time. We met in India. We were invited to a retreat, and this was how to explain. I stumbled into a framework, into a community, into a place, into a field of energy that I've never experienced before, actually. And it was a field where there were many volunteers holding the space where I can just be. They held the space for me, and I had to do nothing. I was invited to just be. And that was so special that it actually really changed the direction of my whole life. It really changed something within me. I understood what volunteerism, open hearts, compassion and love can actually do to yourself, and what you can do if you allow yourself to open up for all these possibilities and opportunity. So back then in this retreat where I met Martin, I somehow, and this might sound weird, I got the permission to take this calling of love and compassion and volunteerism, which was already inside me, to take it very seriously. And I think that's why I'm here. That might be one reason why I'm here tonight. And I guess many people in the room have heard of Service Space, a framework, a global framework, a global network of volunteers who are holding space for many open hearts out in the world. Like, it's a really big thing. And Service Space is one of the big organizations, projects, energies that actually brought us all here together. So now we'd like to, if that's okay with you, I'd like to invite.
No, I just want.
You just want to add something? Sure.
What I want to say is, also I'm here because of this calling and this beauty of being part of this network of serving, and in the next few days there will be a retreat happening with people who are also here, and this was called a sort of the initial impulse to do this evening, because so many wonderful people are coming to Austria, and we said, wow, we can do something, and this is why we're here. This is what I wanted to tell.
So now we're going to invite two people on stage who are going to share their experiences with volunteerism, with compassion, and maybe even what Service Space did to them. So the first person is Marie Ringler, that I'd like to invite to us. Marie Ringler will share her experience from inside out. So what this field of energy that volunteerism and compassion creates, what it did to her. And I'd like to introduce Marie for a second. Marie is European leader of Ashoka, a global network of change makers and innovators, and has spent her career empowering others to drive systemic social innovation. She also serves as vice president of the European Forum Alpbach. From being the youngest member of Vienna City Council to shaping the future of social entrepreneurship across Europe, her journey is nothing short of inspiring. Marie, we welcome you and would like to invite you to share your story, to speak from the heart.
Thank you so much. It's really beautiful to see all of you. Some familiar faces and many new faces. And when I think about what the world needs most right now, it is us coming together. In a world of complexity and uncertainty, what is more valuable than coming together and sharing authentically? Of being able to come together and start trusting each other. When I think of what the world needs most, it is trust. Trust in ourselves, trust in others, trust in our communities, trust in our institutions, trust in our societies, trust that we can overcome the challenges. And I learned something from this incredible community. I learned that there's more trust. There's more trust when we unconditionally give. What is unconditional giving? Unconditional giving is this evening. Dozens of people came together to make this evening happen. And all we're asking you is to receive. To receive the gift of being here. Unconditional giving is an incredible power. It made me a better leader, a better partner, I hope a better friend, a better mother. When we give unconditionally, something transformative happens in ourselves. Something opens up. It allows for something new to grow, and it allows for trust to grow between us. Try it. Thank you.
Now we're really excited also to hear another perspective, to hear the perspective of Meghna Banker. Meghna is, since many, many years, full-time volunteer at Service Space. And I know, like, I'm really curious, how does this really work, Service Space, from the inside out? Like, how do they really do, how do they organize the stuff? And Meghna is the go-to person to ask that. She's gonna share a story or share her perspective on what volunteerism did to her system by experiencing so many years working together with people who give unconditionally. Meghna, the stage is yours.
Wow, this is a big shoe to fill in. How do you explain volunteering that is rooted in love? I think that's something all of us practice, and I think that's such a visible image of why everyone is here in this space. Because of 35 volunteers, I was told, since the last 3 weeks, have been putting so much love and care to make this evening so memorable. We, with a few friends, arrived 6 days ago from India, and as Bettina mentioned earlier, she met us in a retreat while we were on the opposite end of serving as volunteers. And it was so beautiful, because what I really remember from those gatherings is not where everyone came from, but what we did and how we made each other feel. Whether it was washing dishes together or pinning heart pins on each one, just honoring each other's places, or singing songs and welcoming everyone in our field of love, where literally our intercultural boundaries just dissolved and all that remained was joy and smiles and tears. And at one point we all forgot, why are we here again? But then at the end, it didn't matter, because at the end, what we were doing, we were in the moment in that field of love. And as I come here 6 days ago, that's literally what I felt. Few friends that I met 10 years ago, we're literally walking into a park and dancing on Shifwan, and all the bystanders are like, what are these guys doing? Or we're actually being driven by a few friends and saying, oh, this is the Imperial Palace, and this is the city center. Why would anyone do that? How is the world even changing in that process? But what really happens is, through these small acts of kindness, of care, of love and connection, we built deep bonds. And those bonds have blossomed into so many other murmurations that have happened around the world. I suddenly realized that all of this has love embedded at the core. And you know that it's not the destination you get to, but it is that process that we all dive into to create that field of joy. And it is humbling to be here in that exact same moment, but on the receiving end of it all. So it's hard to explain what the field of volunteering does, but it's these moments that not only dissolve and blur the boundaries, but it melts into an even more deeper murmuration. And with that, actually, if we really wanted to know the spirit of volunteering, I'd like to invite the first ever volunteer of Service Space, I know he's sitting somewhere, Nipun, to share more around those principles.
First just means I'm old, so I'm happy to be here. I remember my first time in Vienna. It was on a layover for a few hours. I knew exactly 3 people, and all 3 of those people are in the room here today. One of them has a very much a mama bear energy, Christine, and she says, if you ever come to Vienna, I would love to host a circle. And she's like, oh, there's a room next to where I live, and they often give it out. They do a yoga studio. Let's invite a few friends and just sit in circle. And then there were these 2 other guys, Harman, and at that time, Katsi, Harman and Harold. And I said, well, what do you guys do? He says, we go to people and we say, what's your dream? And we then do everything we can to voluntarily just support them. And it's like, oh, that's what you do? I mean, not like what your title is. It's like, I just want to do this. And what I saw in them was that they weren't the beads. Like when you see a rosary, everyone notices the beads, but they were the thread behind the beads. And I think that this kind of an evening is a bunch of people who feel inspired to be the thread, There's a lot of people who want to be like, you know, I'm a beat in this moment because you all see me, I'm visible, I have the mic. But really, the beads are held together by this invisible thread. And I think what the world needs today are those invisible threads. One more of those invisible threads that's here is some of my memories, Meghna talked about doing dishes. Actually, even at that first circle that we had at Christine's place with Herman and Harold, I remember the most memorable time was afterwards. We had a pile of dishes, and I said, okay, I'm just going to park myself there. And we just did dishes, but through the small act of service, we all came together. And it happened again when we were at Michael and Tiba's house a few years ago. And at the end of like a beautiful evening, there was a pile of dishes, you know? And so I said, okay, I'm going to do it. And then I called, there was this guy who had written 16 books, and I'm like, hey, you come over. And he's like, me? I was like, yeah. And then there was another guy. I won't name these people because they might be in the room. And we all started doing these dishes, you know? And all of a sudden, someone brings a guitar, and someone's like, who knows how to sing? And then someone starts playing Imagine All the People. I'm not going to sing because, you know, Bryan's in the house, so it'll... And I remember at that night, we all just felt so elevated. And as I'm leaving, I was in the back seat with somebody else, and they're dropping me off. And this amazing gentleman, he's here, I won't embarrass him, says to me as I'm leaving, says, would you mind? He's German, Austrian, and he says, would you mind if I bless you? I mean, that's kind of an odd question to ask anybody, right? If you think about it. And I was very happy to receive it. I'm like, yeah, sure, give me the blessing, you know? And in India, I don't know how you do that. If somebody says, how do you hold yourself, right? And we're in the back seat of the car. So in India, you usually bow down to elders, and he was much older than me, and so I bowed down in the back seat of my car, and he put both his hands on my head, and he said later, he says, I grew up with this quote by Rudolf Steiner. He says, those who pray when they are young will bless when they are older. And I think you can build on that quote, that those who pray when inner conditions are quiet will bless when outer conditions are stormy. And the world is very stormy right now. In those moments when we all come together to really just bless, right? In ways that we may not even know. And if we can do that, I think who knows where the ripples go. And I think that's the intention of this evening, and I'm honored to be a small part of it and to be on the receiving end of all this unconditional love and generosity. Thank you very much.
Nipun will come at the very end also to have another speech. So this was kind of the introductory part of telling you a bit about what's happening here, who is here, what's behind it. And sorry, Nipun, we were talking about service space. He didn't want us to because he wants to have an empty center because so many people and organizations are helping together, and it's not about the brand, really. Yeah. And still, and now we are ready.
We're ready, yes, we're ready. We're ready to invite Wakanyi to us.
Yeah.
And there's a little story. When I first met Wakanyi, I also met her in India actually at the same retreat. And I don't know if you ever experienced it, but when you meet a person, and only through her presence, you kind of sink a little deeper. So when I met Wakanyi for the first time, I sank a little deeper, and somehow I suddenly felt that the vastness of my inner world a little bigger. I'm not really sure how she does that, but over time I began to see it more clearly. So she has this presence, just being there, it does something to you. So I'm really, really happy to introduce Wakanyi to all of you, because Wakanyi is a wonderful woman traveling around the world. She's a storyteller. She writes She tells stories with her voice. She carries a remarkable intercultural intelligence, having grown up in the forests of Kenya, and later filling her passport with, as I said, many, many stamps to become what she calls herself a global citizen. Wakanyi also carries a deep connection to ancient wisdom. So nowadays she's exploring and teaching how this wisdom can be meaningfully woven into our world of AI. The heart of many of her stories are actually the principles of the philosophy of Ubuntu. Tonight she will tell us what Ubuntu is, and she even help us to let us feel what Ubuntu truly means. So welcome, Wakanyi. We're so happy that you're here tonight.
Wow, thank you, Bettina. Hi, everyone. Hello, everyone. We need a little bit of energy in this room. Hi, everyone. All right. So before we start, we have to say a proper greeting because that's the only way I can introduce this concept of Ubuntu, okay? Now I want you to turn to the person next to you and say, I see you, properly, okay? And then the person who you just said, I see you to, also says to you, I see you, okay? Normally we would say, I am here to be seen, okay? So if you can turn to another person and say, I am here to be seen, and they say to you, I see you, I'm here to be seen.
I see you.
All right. And I was told that I have 7 minutes, which is not going to work out. Marie only spoke for 4, so I'm taking you 3. I've got 10 minutes. So, I just gave a talk about Ubuntu in a very academic conference in Kyoto. I'm coming here from Japan. And the only person in the room who was allowed to speak after the panel, which was a very philosophical discussion. Everybody had a lot to say about what it means to live in a very complex world, as Nipun said, with AI in the mix. And I was told to speak about AI and Ubuntu, so I'm linking these two. And in this place where I was talking, there was one person who decided to give a comment, and he was the head monk of the Kiyomizu-dera temple in Kyoto. If anybody's been to Japan and to Kyoto, you probably have visited. It's also a United World Heritage Site. And this temple is about 1,300 years old. So he's bringing that energy into the room of 1,300 years old of prayer for compassion. And he looked directly at me after I had spoken about Ubuntu, and he said, if Ubuntu means being human, then Ubuntu is a single thought consciousness of what it means to have a shared life. We were talking about values, and what does it mean to have universal values? And I was saying there's no such thing as universal values. We only have one life. We can't agree on what it means to be human. We can't agree on what it means to have values that are universal, but we can agree that we're all human. We can't define that. I can't say I'm more human than you. That's not possible. But we can say we're all human. Now, we're living in a golden age of magic. Everything we touch, feel, see, just dazzles. It's so brilliant and so beautiful, the AI, okay? How many of you have ever held a kaleidoscope? Yeah? So a kaleidoscope is a funny instrument. It is so beautiful, you could play with it all day long. It works very simply. It's like magic. It has 3 mirrors, and when you look inside, you can turn it any other way, and you find all kinds of designs. And after a while, if you've played with a kaleidoscope for such a long time, you might forget that what you're actually looking at is not a real design. It's pre-designed. It is created in the image of its designer. That's a bit like how AI is. It's a monologue that goes on and on and on, that is designed to sound as if you're having an experience that's real, but actually it's very much an illusion. That's what a kaleidoscope is. It's a beautiful instrument, but it's an illusion. But what is Ubuntu? Ubuntu, on the other hand, is the art of seeing with the oldest instrument that we all have. It's very simple. We all have that instrument. You don't have to buy it. You don't have to acquire it. You were born with it. You have it all the time. It's your two eyes. You get to see reality as it is, not as it is curated. Okay? So that little exercise for looking at the person next to you is to actually see with Ubuntu eyes. You're not actually looking at the person, what they're wearing, who they are, where they're from, and all of the different mirrors that we put in front of us. You're looking with your heart. You're looking with the eyes of your heart. And the Khoisan people have a word for it, if I can remember. And that word is actually meant to say looking through you, to see you as you are, not as you imagine yourself, not as you've invented yourself, not as you have identified yourself. So it is all those layers that we can remove when we actually open our eyes to see ourselves with Ubuntu eyes. So we're going to do a little embodied exercise because I have 2 minutes left. I'm waiting for the ding. And so this exercise will bring us into that space of seeing with Ubuntu eyes. I want you to focus your attention on any candle, any one of these large candles on the altar, and just notice how the light flickers and have that light register in your eyes. Just really look at it attentively and really take in the detail of just the candlelight, nothing else. And now I want you to close your eyes and store that image of the candlelight at the back of your mind. Don't lose it, that picture. And then imagine you're holding a kaleidoscope and you're looking through a kaleidoscope. And there are dazzling images. Any way you turn it, it gives you a different image. Sometimes not a very beautiful image, so you have to turn it again and see a different thing. There's another instrument called a teleidoscope. It has a clear mirror at the end, and so it takes in any image from the outside and brings it inside the tube. But the teleidoscope also has 3 mirrors in it. So whatever you point it at, whether you're pointing it at a tree or a moving car or somebody standing next to you, it takes that image, like television, and processes it through those 3 mirrors. So you're still seeing reality, but it's refracted. So imagine that's what you're looking at. Now you're no longer with a kaleidoscope, because that was predetermined. Now you think you're in control of the remote control, right? Television. And now I want you to remove all those images and put the teleidoscope and the kaleidoscope to the side. And bring the image of the candle to the front of your eyes. And all you have is that light, that candle light, flickering in your eyes. And then slowly turn to the person that you spoke to earlier, who you said, "I see you." You still have the image of the candle in your eyes. And now gently open your eyes, very gently, and look at the person that you're seeing, and notice the light in their eyes, the candle light. I see you.
I see you too.
Thank you. And that's how you see with Ubuntu eyes. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Wakanyi. A few years ago, I was curious. I wanted to know if this sharing and serving unconditionally thing, if it really works, you know? So I started a project just for myself, which I called 100 Days of Giving. And I gave unconditionally one thing for 100 days in a row. I smiled at people's faces, I gave feedback, I invited people, I did whatever came up, you know, every day I had one random idea and I tried. But tonight we have someone who took the whole thing way further, many more steps further. John Sweeney. John Sweeney raised, together with a friend, $500,000, which they are now globally spreading to 1,000 people because they want to help the people to be able to be more generous. His credo is, kindness needs a bit of a rebrand. It's not just charity cake sales and volunteer days, it's our chance to unapologetically express ourselves in service of literally anyone or anything. John Sweeney, we're so curious. Please tell us more about your project, Drop Dead Generous.
So, hello everyone. If the accent doesn't give it away, I'm from Ireland. In Ireland, we like to say hello by saying, "What's the crack?" It basically means 100 different things. How are you? How's the family? How's work? How's your life? And so many more things. So I was going to sing a song, but after Bryan's incredible performance, I said I'd probably empty the building. So I'm going to share a little bit of a story about something that happened recently. So as they mentioned, I'm the co-founder of an incredible project called Drop Dead Generous, where we give 1,000 people $500 to do something outrageously kind. It can be simple, it can be profound, it can be a little bit daft. One person brought a Shetland pony into an elderly care home. It's all about thinking about something you love, you care about, you're passionate about, and that can create a ripple effect. So one of the things that we do is we work with creators, because creators have a big audience, they have a big voice, they're doing incredible work, so especially purpose-led creators. So I found this creator online, saw in his bio was human connection advocate. So I did what any normal Irish person would do. I slid into his DMs and I said, human connection advocate, sounds like my type of guy. Do you ever fancy chatting to an Irishman? And he said, yes. So we got in a call. I said, I want to give you $500, explained a bit of my backstory. And he said, no, I don't want your money. And I'm like, oh, I failed. And then we got chatting. He said, I want to do something bigger. What's going on with your project? How are you trying to inspire people? And we basically came up with this idea that we were going to do a bit of a mad journey. We were going to walk from Birmingham in England to London, which was 150 miles, with no money, completely reliant on the kindness of strangers over 8 days. Now, just so you have the context, I have not walked 150 miles in my life, so, let alone over 8 days. So the main inspiration for it was, we give people $500, but you don't need money to be kind. So we give them the money, but we also give them full permission to be creative, imaginative, and to really believe in the power of kindness. So I said, look, we're asking our community to do this, I got to do something a bit mad. So set sail on a Sunday morning, started walking. The first day was 20 miles, and I think about 4 miles in, I was like, what have I done? My bag weighed 17 kg, my spirit was broken, my knee was even more broken, and I was ringing Tom, who's my co-founder, saying, Tom, you need to send somebody to collect me. I can't do this. Throughout the next few days, there were so many points where I absolutely felt broken. Could not walk, blisters in my feet, my knee wasn't working, and I was like, this just, I can't do it. I just thought about quitting. And I surrendered. I surrendered, and I thought about the message we were trying to get out there. The kindness of strangers, and when you're kind, can change the world. And so it's easy for me to be kind to someone, but it's not so easy to let somebody be kind to me. So each time when I was at rock bottom and I thought I couldn't carry on and I surrendered, people showed up. People gave us a place to stay with no money, with no food. They let us stay in their homes. They cooked us food. Some people put blister plasters on my feet, which I apologize for. We met just the most amazing, wonderful human beings. And throughout the journey, so many things went wrong, but every time it went wrong, something went right. And I met these strangers who knew nothing about me, knew nothing about what I was doing, other than I had a sign saying Human Kindness Experiment, walking from Birmingham to London. And I wrote in small little letters, I regret this. And basically, so many people turned up. And at one point, I think I was 3 or 4 days in, really hurt my knee, and I was like, I can't carry on. And this dad who lived in a canal boat with his 4 kids came and collected us and said, you can stay in a caravan that my sister owns. Joe, you're welcome to do it. And I sat in his boat and I cried. I cried my eyes out because I was in so much pain and I had so much regret for making this decision. And 2 of his kids, one who was 14, one who was 10, shared their story with me that they'd lost their mum a couple of months before. They'd lost their 2-year-old brother. They said they'd been following our journey and that they never felt so inspired in all their lives, and that they believed in me and they wanted to help me. Tended to me, got me cream for my knee, made me food, and just believed in me in a way that I can't even to this day describe. So I did this journey with an amazing content creator by the name of Adam Lind, who lives in a canal boat. And we chose to walk the canals, which again was very uneven and was probably a bad decision. But along the way, people kept showing up with food, with water, with support, with just conversation. And even though we'd be behind by miles, we'd have to stop because it was all about human connection. There was a lot of very different people turned up. There was some people welcomed us into their home. There was some people who were in the drug dealing business who said they believed in kindness, that they would like to give us drugs. We respectfully refused. There was kids, there was parents, there was strangers, there was cups of coffee, there was conversation, and there was magic for the entire week. It was such an amazing, incredible experience. And there's so many stories that I'm not allowed to tell because apparently I have 7 minutes. So that's a story for another day. But I think one of the things that really stood out to me, I think it was day 7, just before we were getting to the finish line on day 8, I was completely broke. I had walking sticks, Adam was carrying some of my bags. I was crying every 2.5 hours. And we just got into London. That morning, a lady had made us 2 beautiful sandwiches. They just looked gorgeous. We did not meet a single person all day because it was raining. We'd no food, we'd no drink, and we were saving them for our final destination that night. Walked into London. First person I met was this guy who's experiencing homelessness. He said, brother, come over here. And I went over and I said, you okay, my man? What's going down? And he was like, "What are you doing?" And I explained to him. And he said, "I'm proud of you." And I said, "Why are you proud of me?" He said, "I'm proud of you because of what you're doing." This stranger who had nothing, he had nothing to his name, offered me everything he had. So I pulled out our sandwich, I looked at Adam, we were both slightly hesitant, but we said, "Look, we don't have anything, we just want to give this to you because you've given something to us. You've given us the strength to carry on." He got the sandwich, took half, and he said, "Two of you keep the other half. You need it more than I do." And I think the real thing that I saw on this journey is, we give people $500, but you can actually give people kindness that costs nothing. And it's one of the most powerful gifts that you can share with anyone on this earth. I think we all have that one little act of kindness in us that can change someone's life in such a powerful, incredible way. But sometimes you gotta surrender. Sometimes you gotta believe that the most important thing in the world is kindness to others and also kindness to yourself. Thank you all.
What a story, what stories. I think there's a lot, it takes energy to listen, as most of us are not native English speakers. So I just want to take 1 minute of silence to let it sink a little bit, and also maybe to reflect for yourself on small acts of kindness, of generosity, of experiences in your life. Maybe there's one situation which touched your heart. Or maybe there's one inspiration or intention for you and your further path. Thank you. And maybe because John said, also be kind to yourself. If you feel that your body, because bodies are not made for sitting too long, wants a little stretching, maybe this would be a good moment for stretching or yawning or standing up. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Now we can get ready for our next guest. Our next guest is Hang Mai from Vietnam. I've heard stories from you in the last years from Nipun, and now it's really special for me to meet you here. You're a social entrepreneur and dedicated permaculture practitioner. You have been working in law and multinational corporations for 10 years until you entered a path of inner transformation and reconnection with nature. What you did, you founded, how do you spell this? Sun Shop, to link farmers and city people in Vietnam. And you helped translate the famous book of Masanobu Fukuoka, One Straw Revolution from Japan. Who doesn't know it? Look it up, it's really inspiring. You helped in translating it to Vietnamese, inspiring a powerful back to the land movement especially from youth in your country. Yeah, so you're talking about the 5%.
Yes.
And that's, I'm curious.
Good evening, Vienna. My name is Hang Mai. I'm an intern farmer from Vietnam. 10 years ago, we published the book, The One-Straw Revolutions in Vietnamese. Has anyone here read the book? Oh, cool. Yeah. So it quickly became a bestseller and ignited a Back to the Land movement, inspiring many young people. If we drive throughout of Vietnam now, there is one farm inspired by the book every 1 to 3 hours. And you know what? The movement started out of confusion because there were so many things confusing in the book. For instance, Fukuoka said, from this single straw, a revolution could begin. But how? And if it's not confusing enough, the universe sent Nipun. Around the same time at publishing the book, I met Nipun. And he talked about gifts economy, about karma kitchens, about many things. And he said, we are practicing the one-straw revolutions in service space. What he said resonated with me, but I couldn't see the connections between those ideas and the book. Later, in Bhutan, he invited us all to sit in an AwaKin circle. Again, I couldn't see the link between the circles and the book. The confusion continues in Costa Rica, when Nipun led a group in small act of kindness, buying coffee for strangers. One more time, I couldn't see the link between that idea, it's nice, buying coffee for strangers, and the book. And he says, small act of kindness change the world. How can you change the world by buying coffee for strangers anyway? Yeah. Then I went on with all of their websites. I even followed Like the Ship. Still, couldn't see the link. Yeah? And then it came my aha moment. You got these cards on your seat? Yes? Okay. So, yeah, on your seats. This is the best soil compositions in the world. The best soil composition in the world. Humanity cannot create this composition. It can be found in undisturbed natures only, in the middles of virgin forests. In this ideal soil, 45% is minerals, comes from Mother Rock, while air and water each make up around 25%. Yeah? The last and the most crucial ingredients is organic matters and living organism accounts just 5%. Yep. The first time I saw these diagrams, I thought that 5% of organic matters is a piece of cake because we had so much biomass on our farm. However, I soon realized that it's a simple thing, but it's not an easy thing, because it requires a constant supply, because all that materials will be continuously transformed, integrated to generate the soil. Yeah? The 5% is so small, we can easily miss it, as we tend to focus on the other 95%. If we want minerals, we put in chemical fertilizer. If we want air, we plow. If we want humidities, we water. Yeah? We treat symptoms only. We treat symptoms only. This tiny 5% is the game changer. It nurtures the soil. It fuels the ecosystem. It ignites the other 95%. So the 5% ignite the other 95%. Mother Nature is deadly, dread-dog generous, Bryan. And at that time, I suddenly understood what Fukuoka means. I understood that his one straw is a metaphor for the biomass return to the soil. And I understood what he meant by one straw could start a revolution, and how it connected with Nipun's words, a small act of kindness changed the world. Just as a straw is a game changer for the soil, small act of kindness is the game changer for society and our soul. Looking back at the journeys of last 10 years, I have witnessed a movement started out of confusions by people who have no ideas what is farming, and yet continue to flourish thanks to numerous small acts of kindness and intrinsic motivation. The book itself was a gift from a friend of mine. And then other friends contribute their gifts in translating, in designing the book cover, in copywriting, in publishing, in making ebook and audiobook, and so on. And when the group of readers reached 10,000 people, we look for permaculture trainers, because none of us know what is farming. We were inspired by the book, but we were so confused. And when we asked the trainers, how can we pay you? He said, you can't, you cannot. Because I want to pay forward what I learned from indigenous people in the last 20 years. And he's now my husband. Yeah, so tomorrow is our wedding anniversary. We worked this path together for 9 years. And we believe that, from what we have witnessed, this 5% is the game changer. It shifts transaction to circulation. It ignites the infinite games. I wish you find your 5%. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Hang Mai. And yeah, it was also in a call when I heard the sentence, well, when you are working as a volunteer and supporting something, just do your 5% and let nature do the rest. And now we want to ask you, what are your 5% that you want to focus on? What are your 5% which ignite the other 95%? Again, please turn to a person next to you, maybe a different one, maybe the same, you choose. And 2 minutes for the first person just to share, the other one to listen. I do a ding, and then 2 minutes the second person. What is the 5% you want to focus on? Ashoka. The second person, you can change the second person, please.
Bettina.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very, very much for warming up your voices. You're going to need them now, since we're going to sing and chant together. We're going to sing with Jin Wei, with Bhikshu Jin Wei, which we invite to the center now. Jin Wei was born in Poland. He embarked on his spiritual journey in 1999, seeking meaning beyond the confines of a bohemian lifestyle. A pivotal moment came when he encountered a Polish translation of the 6th Patriarch Sutra, which inspired him to dedicate himself fully to the Buddhist path. Tonight we'll share a chant. I think it's called May We. Thanks for being with us tonight. I'm really curious.
Thank you. Thank you for bringing me here. So first I start, as we sang, with the Buddhist hug to all of you. And so wonderful feeling to be here with all of you in this amazing, beautiful space, this sacred space. As when I came to this room, I just started kind of listening how many prayers from the decades were sending from here. And first I want to acknowledge and honor all the traditions, ancestors, the lineages, what they are presented here with all of us. I want to honor everyone who in their own unique way called the sacredness, through the songs that we heard, through the poems, from the art, from the heart of unconditional giving. So I want to introduce you a very simple chant. It's called May We, or in service-based language I can say May Us. It's May We. And it's a very simple words, but it's not important words, but more what these words pointing to the frequency of the unconditional care, to giving, to show up in the life with light, to seeing one another, to seeing ourselves. So I will chant this 3 times, May We, and those of you who feel comfortable, I wish join me and support me in this chant, please welcome too. So in this way we can send the light, we can bless the whole space here. Our hearts are limitless, so we can go further to send our blessing and light, people in Vienna, in Austria, in Europe, whole planet, universe, and beyond. So, join me. May we. May we be safe and protected from inner and outer harm. May we be truly happy and deeply peaceful. May we be healthy and strong and physically at ease. May we take care of ourselves and live with well-being. May we be safe and protected from inner and outer harm. May we be truly happy and deeply peaceful. May we be healthy and strong and physically at ease. May we take care of ourselves and live with well-being. May we be safe and protected from inner and outer harm. May we be truly happy and deeply peaceful. May we be healthy and strong and physically at ease. May we take care of ourselves and live with well-being.
Okay, so we thought that we do it. Okay. We're very flexible and spontaneous tonight, which is wonderful. Thank you so much for bringing us into this wonderful mood of singing and chanting. The next person we're inviting at the center is Carol Blasquez Garcia. She is Chief Purpose Officer. How cool is that? Chief Purpose Officer at EcoAlf, which is a pioneering Spanish brand committed to the environmental responsibility. Tonight, she will share her personal journey in the impact business, her purpose-driven vision, and how EcoHealth has reshaped the meaning of business success for her and for the brand. Accept an authentic and heartful perspective on why impact businesses need more love to create real change, and how we as human beings need to love more deeply as members of the system around us and as stewards of the earth. Carol, the stage is yours.
So, hello everyone. I'm very happy to be here, and with this energy, it's not easy for me to start talking about the dark side of the fashion. But usually fashion is something like, so everyone talk about, oh, fashion is something like, everyone thinks about the glamour of fashion. And I want to show you what is behind the fashion. So, and basically what is behind the fashion is that while in the main streets of the big cities, the windows of the stores are with the most trendy colors, for example, blue. In other part of the world, probably there is a river that is also blue. And it's blue because of the chemicals that are used to make those garment blues. So rivers are turning in different colors, are dying. So some countries are becoming landfills, textile landfills. For example, Ghana. So every single week, more than 15 million of garments arrive to Ghana. Every year, we are producing more than 100 billion of garments every year. We are not using garments more than 5-7 times, and then we throw them away. 80% of those garments end up in landfills. So you can see that we have a problem with the consumption. And I'm talking about fashion because it's what I know, and I know it very well. But consumption and overconsumption is not a problem just in the fashion industry. So we are consuming more, around 1.7 planets every year. So the overshoot day is the day when we finish with the natural resources that the planet can regenerate in a natural way every year. And this date comes earlier and earlier. So around July or August, we have the overshoot day. So that means that the rest of the year, we are consuming the resources of the future generation, of our children and grandchildren. So for me, the problem is not about how we consume, because maybe we don't understand the resources that are behind every garment and every product. For me, the problem is there is a disconnection with the planet. We don't understand that for every single product that we use or the food that we consume, there are a lot of resources behind. And we don't understand that the planet doesn't belong to us. But we are the planet. We are the Earth. And yes, I work at EcoAlf, and EcoAlf is a sustainable fashion brand. And there I work as a Chief Purpose Officer, because we are a brand with a very strong purpose, and our purpose is to protect the natural resources. And my role there is, through the innovation, work in how to create the product, the garment, with the lowest impact. We understand that if we produce something that is good for you as consumer, and it has to be also good for us as brand, it has to be good for the planet. Otherwise, it will not be an equal product. For more than 15 years, we are working developing new materials, low-impact materials, basically most of them coming from recycled materials, from waste, turning waste into high-quality materials, and using the eco-design to produce low-impact products. But now, in the last year, in the last 3 or 4 years, we realized that working to reduce the impact is not longer enough for us. We need to move from low impact to positive impact, because we want to give back to the earth much more than we take from it. And there is basically where we are starting with the regeneration. And we have launched the first collection made from regenerative cotton with a very nice project made in India. And to make you understand how we are working with the regeneration, I would like to ask you to close your eyes just for a second and try to imagine that you are in a land where everything around you is almost died. If you see the soil, everything is brown. There is no life around you. And now, try to imagine you in another picture where you are in a landfill, when everything around you is green, is alive. The soil behind your feet is alive. You can feel it. Everything is alive. You can feel the insect. You can feel the birds around you. So everything is very different from the other one. This change can be made through regeneration. You can open your eyes. And for me, the difference between the first one and the second one, yes, is regeneration. But I love to say that the difference is love. Because when you understand that when you care the soil, when you restore the soil, you improve the biodiversity, and you take care of the communities of farmers that are working in the crops, you are doing that because you love the earth, because you feel that you are part of the earth. And this is love. And love can be the most powerful energy that is capable to transform anything. So we are trying to build new businesses, new systems, and we are trying to change everything using the old tools that are not working anymore. Love is creativity, is creation, is innovation, is expansion, is generosity, is compassion. We can create a future that we dream through love, but we cannot transform what we want to transform through fear. And most of the companies are leading from fear. So we need to bring love to our day-to-day. We need to bring love to our personal purpose. And what is more important, we need to bring love to organizations. Because it's the only energy that can create the world that we, all of us, that we dream. So we have no time to waste. It's time to act. It's time to love. Thank you.
Muchas gracias, Carol. Just for you to know, we have 4 more people coming. The toilets over there are 2 toilets. Yeah. Take care of yourself. For yourself. Now we have a very special guest coming from very far. Lucy Grace from New Zealand. She's a mystic, a poet, and a spiritual guide. She grew up in very rough and tough circumstances and set out on a lifelong search for healing and truth that led her from journalism and humanitarian work with UNICEF or Oxfam into the depth of mysticism and the heart. She now shares her wisdom and poetry in many ways, including a book which she wrote, The Untamable Light, and she will gift us now one of her poems. Lucy.
Hi. It's so beautiful to be here with each of you and see your open faces, your open hearts, and to feel into this energy that has brought us all together of wanting to be the change in the world that we so long for. And there's lots of cliche around this, isn't there? There's lots of trite expressions. We talk about love a lot. And I'm going to assume that each of you are pretty conscious. There's a lot of Instagram speak. There's a lot of books and YouTube videos. But if you're here, I'm going to assume that there's something in you that really genuinely wants to express as love. And what is love? What does it mean? It's such a cliched word these days. What does it mean to go into the world and not just talk about love, but embody it? There's no point speaking about peace if we can't move as peace. Otherwise it becomes another spiritual identity. I have this friend, Noah, and he had a near-death experience. No matter what you believe, he says that he died, and we have the proof from the doctors. And when he crossed over, he had a life review. He saw many, many moments in his life, and he saw and felt the meaning of those moments. He was the head of his engineering firm. He had a big fancy house, a beautiful wife. He was pretty proud of the life he'd led. But when he crossed over, what he saw was that through the eyes of his soul, none of that meant much. What meant something, and this is going to sound funny, was this one moment where he was at the supermarket and a woman couldn't pay for her groceries. And he thought nothing of it. He turned toward her and paid for them. And off he went. He forgot about it. But that one selfless act of love, he could see the ripple that that created in her life, the next life, the next life. You will have all heard stories like this. But what does it mean for each of us? Because it's easy to point the finger outward. What does it mean for me? I was a humanitarian aid worker, bit of a hero. Worked in orphanages all around the world, war zones. Really, honestly, I was trying to save the orphan inside myself. I held a lot of pain, like each of us. We're human. And I ran around trying. But there came a time where I finally stopped and looked at the war in my own heart. Eyes open. Where's the Trump in me? This is how we change the world. Love is not a saccharine, fluffy, pink thing. It can be. It can be soft. Love can be listening, a generosity of spirit. But love can be fierce. It takes a ferocity and commitment to really move as love in a world that doesn't value love as its guiding principle. So how do I embody that practically? My experience has shown me, and I offer it humbly because you have your own. After years of running around the world trying to love, standing on stages talking about love, writing books on love, it's none of those things, really. It's what I do when I step off the stage and nobody's watching. It's not purpose in some grand way that culture teaches us. It's presence. Where in my life can I love now? There are wars right outside this gate in people's hearts. There are famine right inside people. There are orphans in this room. So how present am I with the opportunities to love, to be love moving that life gives me? Maybe someone's had a divorce. Maybe they lost their mother. There's a million ways that life bellies us as human beings. How am I in this moment? This moment and this moment, is my heart open or is it closed? That's the only question I have to ask. That opportunity to be love is available to us in every breath. With things like Gaza and the way that the world is burning down in so many ways, we can feel powerless, right? All of us can. You might say, I'm not a permaculture guru. I'm not leading this and that. I'm not a mystic, or all these fancy words. But your power is inherent. It lies in the very center of your chest. Open. Give what you can in this moment. That's it. Do that and watch how the world changes. The world around you. I'm going to read a poem because I'm a poet. But I'm really jet lagged. I've come all the way from New Zealand and I'm very, very tired. So forgive me if the beat is a bit off. This one's called Emergence. When a point of consciousness says, I want to love better, the whole universe rises to meet it. Every quivering particle, every pulsing molecule turns its force toward the evolution of love. Every beating drum will lend itself to that mighty intention. You are not on your own here when you decide to open. Grace is behind you. So if you're going to open, my love, open completely. If you're willing to tear down the walls surrounding your heart, then go all in. The entire cosmos has longed for this moment when you would finally stand up and claim your inheritance. Every existence is invited to stand for something more than filling life with insurance policies against fear. And if our allegiance is to the truth of me, and if it is earnest, then we find ourselves willing to lose everything in order not to abandon love. And we are alive here. So be reckless. Let love loam in you. Let it colonize every doubt, every hesitation, every weary lamentation. Our pain may be great, but it is not infinite. Love, only love is infinite, and it moves through you. Thank you.
Gemeinsam. Komm. Thank you so much, Lucy Grace. Wow. Before we continue with, say Pedro, I want to invite you to give some love to your body. Because again, we are not made for sitting so long. So maybe just shake a little bit or whatever. It helps to be more present with our next 2-3 guests. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much. Please, Bettina.
How can we be love moving? This one is gonna stick forever with me. Thanks so much. Our next guest comes from Portugal all the way to Vienna, Pedro Cobra. As a lawyer with over 30 years in the corporate legal field, Pedro has transitioned into roles as a corporate advisor, supporter of social projects, and humorist who believes that laughter is the best way to take life seriously. I really love that. With a heart devoted to social causes, he dedicates his time and talents to volunteering, fundraising, and inspiring others to live with purpose. Tonight, we get a glimpse of how he integrates love, humor, and humanity into the fabric of business and life. A warm welcome to Pedro.
Thank you. Thank you so much, and thank you for waiting, although realizing you have a lawyer at this time of night, so it takes courage. My name is Zé. It's actually a Portuguese name, a short name for José, that stands for Joseph. But actually, I like to introduce myself as a being learning how to be, and father of a 22-year-old girl who is the love of my life. That's what I am. Now, what I've been doing, I was a lawyer for 30 years, and I hope to have some compassion from you all during these following days. For that reason, it will be a good support. But it's not about that I'm here. I was happy during those 30 years. But the thing is what I've been doing aside, and the way life just makes everything works. And some of them, these circumstances were my own characteristics, other ones what happened in my life that allowed me to develop these projects I want to share with you. So the first one was my father that put it on me, this eager for knowledge, for knowing, for learning, for keep going and trying to search and know history, literature, culture, so I was always a deep searcher. Then, since I was a boy, I think it's like a gift or something, I'm a storyteller. My mother said that when I was 2 years old, I used to storytell the kids in the kindergarten, so it started earlier. And I always have used humor. I truly believed in humor. I'm not a humorist, I'm not a comedian, but I think humor is the great way to share a message. It's a great way to transmit something, to communicate, to make it common. That's what it means, the word. And also a way to connect. Biologically, it's explained that laughing and humor gets us together. And the third thing was my social caring. Since I was a boy, it was always very easy for me to take care of others. It was an instinct, a normal instinct. So it come up, and later it will express in the projects I will tell you about. And the last but not the least was my longing and my search for purpose in life, for meaning, for consciousness. And this, in several difficult moments of my life, took me to go deeper. In Buddhism, in other religions, in everything, just to go deeper. And when I realized the importance of this way of consciousness that each one of us, in my opinion, should be doing it, I'm doing it every day, because this is a constant work. I was talking with John just about that. It's an ongoing work. And the thing is, if you do this, I realized I needed to share this with people. So I started to share with them. And I say that I used to speak the same way that I live, with love and humor. And in Portuguese, love, it's said amor, which is like humor. Amor e humor. So it rhymes. And I really think they're both very connected, actually. And so that's the way I speak. And this came to me to a few projects. The first one was I was a volunteer in helping homeless people back in Lisbon. But then there were some projects that I created myself, sharing this message of challenge for consciousness. And I went to a hospital, to the pediatric department area, to speak to children, sharing messages of challenge, of consciousness in very difficult moments with their parents, sometimes more difficult than the children, with the medicines, with the nurses, everybody. So it was, I called that project, I exchanged a story for a smile. And I got a lot of smiles. And I'm very grateful for that project, and it touched me very much. It changed my life. And then secondly, I started, because I'm a lawyer and come from corporate area, I started to share on companies, this share of love, a message of love in the companies, of purpose, of consciousness, of being aware. And so everything suddenly matches this search I did for myself to share this in the companies. So for 13 years, I've been a keynote speaker, speaking in many events and conferences and meetings of companies. And all the money, 100% of the money, went for social projects and institutions. It was a gratitude project. It's only being grateful for the miracle of life, something I believe we do not do most of the time. So it was not actually just giving, it was giving back and giving forward for everything that I've received. So I helped more than 60 projects and institutions and grabbed, for those 13 years, more than €500,000. It's not bad for a lawyer, huh? So it was really, really touch for me, but most of it, the way that I used to speak, it was, like I said, with love and humor. That sentence, laugh is the best way to take life serious, is for the Monty Python. But I love it, and that's the way I live. Even in the law and the board meetings and all those board and bore meetings, you know. But even there, humor can make a difference. So the way I shared, it's this. And I truly believe that this is very serious, the challenge for consciousness, but you can do it with humor, with joy, with happiness, and that can also be contagious with each other, like love, as we said here, or like generosity. And so I would like to share with you a story, of course, of humor, that is totally connected with what we're talking here in my message for challenge for consciousness. Martin said for us in the beginning, inspired in Nipun's message, to be an island, and for us that are islands, then can connect with others. So this story, it's in an island. It happens in an island called Madeira. It's a Portuguese island, very beautiful in the middle of the Atlantic. If you've not been there, you should go there. And also, Martin also said to elevate us. And so this is a story about the plane that is taking off. That's how I hope we all take off from this evening and from this retreat. So the plane is not a big plane, it's a small plane, you know, those that don't have galleys. So you're seated on your seat and you can perfectly see the cockpit. So everybody's inside and you can see the cockpit. And everybody's just fastened their seat belts and seating and putting their bags, and suddenly the captain gets in with a white stick and some dark glasses. And as the captain gets in, somebody said, "Excuse me, sir, do you realize that the captain's blind?" He said, "What do you mean the captain's blind? Take a look at him." "No, he can't be blind. He's the captain. I mean, there's no chance." And the man just grabs into the galley, boom! And then the stewards come, "Oh, it's this way, sir, please." And then everybody starts to look, and you see him getting in the cockpit and dismantling his stick and just scrambling the panel controls, you know, getting in into seat. And everybody, "The captain's blind! We're in a plane and the captain's blind!" Everybody starts to panic, and suddenly somebody says, "Hang on a minute. The captain probably is blind, but he can hear everything. And all his other senses are amazing. And the co-pilot can't hear nothing, but he's got an eye of an eagle, you know." And this is an inclusion project, you know. You realize we're working together as a team, as we should do as a society. So it's a great project. Let's wait for the co-pilot. And then just a few moments after, the co-pilot gets in the plane. The same stick, the same dark glasses, and a dog. And he's blind too? The co-pilot is blind? And so people are totally outrageous, but they don't have time to react, because afterwards you just hear the supervisor saying, "Cabin crew, cross-checking doors," and they realize they're closing the doors of the plane. So everybody's inside the plane, in a small track, in an island, and you can see the cockpit, and you can see the sea on the other side of the cockpit, and the captain just starts to get closer to the beginning of the track. And the stewards are saying, like, "The 2 doors over the wings, you must pull the mask on and the valve," and everybody was just, you know, just looking and searching for what's happening in the cockpit. Nobody gives a damn thing about the other things. And so the plane gets in a position to take off. And the captain says a very normal sentence that in normal situations would not be a problem. But in this one, it was a panic sentence. He says, "Cabin crew, take off." Everybody just grabs their own chair, and everybody's panic. And the plane just starts, and people are starting to see the end of the track. And everybody is totally afraid. The only being in peace in the plane is the dog. Everybody else is totally afraid of what's going to happen. And then the plane is just nearby the sea, and everybody starts to scream at the same time. And then the plane just goes a little bit down, but then comes back to the left side, playing a little village called Mashiko over there, and goes the other side. And then the co-pilot turns to the pilot and says, "You know, Captain, nowadays with AI and all this technology, it's amazing. We don't need to do anything." And the captain said, "It is amazing, but if they don't scream, we never realize when we have to take off." Well, this message, or this situation, of course, it's figurative, but it's got everything to do with what we're talking here tonight. We need to be aware. It is a challenge, because it is for all of us. It's not saying that AI will take care of this, or we have new technologies, or somebody will solve it. It's a challenge for all of us. We're all pilots here. And the challenge is of consciousness. Being aware, seeing what's happening, listen to the others, be aware for the scream, the people that we take with us in our own plane, our family, our friends, our colleagues, our community, ourselves sometimes is screaming. Our soul, our body, we're not listening, we're not seeing. That's the challenge for all of us in everyday, today life. And this is how, somehow, a joke gets a meaning and the message gets the boost. When you collect humor and love, humor e amor. And if you take a look, everything we listen today, even this story that I already programmed to share with you tonight, got everything to do what we've heard. Ubuntu, to see, I see you. And then Marie just told us about what we need, trust. The volunteers talked about this, trust in our pilots. We need trust in our pilots. And for that we need new pilots, or the pilots to become a new man, as Bryan just started on the evening this night. And for that, we can actually truly become a change by inspiring, as John just shared with us, for kindness. The gestures, the simple gestures you just share with us. And through kindness, we can realize that 5% of the soil can change the other 95. In this way, we can achieve a new fashion. A fashion of purpose. A fashion of love. May we all be moved by love, like Lucy just told us in the end of this last sharing. And through this way, may we be truly happy and deeply peaceful. So everything is connected in this way if we challenge this consciousness. I want to finish by sharing one small detail. I'm also here for a retreat. It's going to be held nearby Salzburg, as some of you are. And I realized that it was precisely in 1965, so exactly 60 years ago, that the movie was Sounds of Music was primed in the cinema. And the music was The Hills Are Alive. The hills were alive. But I want to share, and so I know everybody else does, share a huge gratitude for all the volunteers, for all the organization to allow the hills to be alive again. Well, I'm sure we all here will be a great Von Trapp family. And Nipun, my friend, you are going to be our Julie Andrews. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Se. Wow. Nipun, your name was already in the air. May the real Nipun please show up. Nipun, coming to us from the real wild, wild west, from the Silicon Valley.
This is
yeah,
true.
we're a bit scared looking over the water. What's happening in your country at the moment?
I'm happy to be here, and I think it's me and some music, and then we all get to hug each other.
Yeah.
Yes? Thank you.
We wanted to have you at the end to really kind of wrap up and get to bring in again the topic of the human murmuration and whatever. We could talk about so much. He's an expert in compassion and AI and whatever. So I'm gonna let myself be surprised by what comes now.
You and me both. You and me both. I'm gonna do a surprise, which I've never done. I've always wanted to do. One of my friends is an amazing clown, and his name is Wavy Gravy. Some of you might have heard of him. And he did this thing on his birthday. He invited lots of people, and famous musicians were there, and at the end he says, because he has an ice cream flavor named after him, and he says, how many of you love ice cream? Everyone raises their hand. He says, what do you do when you hear about it? He says, I say yum. So he asked everybody to just say yum. Can we try that experiment? Okay, everyone, okay? Just say yum and try to synchronize. Yum, yum. Okay, now just repeat it until I raise my hand, Martin style. Yum, yum. A little louder. Thank you. Lots of yums. Sorry to those people who are live streaming, because you wouldn't have experienced what we experienced as a vibration of sound. We have someone coming after me who's an expert in that, but there's something about this idea of deep casting. We're all familiar with broadcasting. I'm speaking into the mic, it's being amplified. We are familiar with that, but we don't know about deep casting. You ever wonder how, like, Gandhis of the world would have crowds of hundreds of thousands of people and no mic many times? How did they do it? Gandhi would say something, a whole bunch of people here would repeat it to people after them, and it would go back. And you can go farther back. In the times of the Buddha, when there are 100,000 monks and he's giving a sermon, how in the world did 100,000 people follow? There's a lot more to life than just broadcasting, which we're so conditioned to. There is a deeper process of deep casting. One of my friends heard this idea and he says, oh, you know, I had an amazing experience with Mother Teresa. I didn't even know her, but I was at an airport counter checking in, and all of a sudden, the woman behind the counter, everyone, there's like this hush that falls all over the airport counter. And this woman in this, I think she was less than 5 feet, 4 feet 11 inches. She's just walking down the escalator. And he says, I was checking in. I didn't even have a clear-eyed view, but I was like, something is going on. And this person working for the airlines scoots her chair back, stands up in quiet reverence. Wasn't even the same religion. What happens? We live in times where we're so focused on performance, we mistake performance for presence. So you might see that and you say, wow, that was so powerful. What steps did she take? How did her head move? Let me copy that. It's not performance, it is presence. And how do we cultivate that kind of presence? 2 trips ago, I was in Austria. There was a gentleman who sat in front of me at breakfast, somebody I didn't know, and he said he learned an incredible lesson from his young son who comes back from school, and he says, Dad, my teacher was absent today. And he says, what do you mean, your teacher didn't show up? He says, no, my teacher showed up. His body was present, but his mind was absent. And we got into this deep conversation, and we said, you know, we live in a culture of absence. We have all these architectures of absence that profit from us not being here. And he says, as we spoke, we said, how do we move from absence to presence? And then from presence to regeneration. If your presence meets my presence, there is something that is regenerated that is greater than the sum of the parts. And how do we tap into that? Last week we had this retreat in Northern California, maybe 10 days ago. And there was a guy, he said, you know, I want to know about this human murmuration where hearts start to connect and we start to create like these incredible shapes. You know, the beautiful thing about murmurations is that every starling is only aware of 7 birds around them. No one can see the whole picture. And yet they're not creating patterns of chaos, they're creating patterns of coherence. And so this guy says, you know what snapped me out? I was in some deep state of consciousness. And in this deep state of consciousness, I was in a desert and in a line going to get a hug from somebody else. And at some point, as we were going in that direction, we realized we don't need to wait for the hug because we can hug each other. But the thing about that kind of intimacy is that today's idea of intimacy and connection is very head to head. It is not heart to heart. And head to head is like a telephone game. If I said something, you pass it to the next person, to the next person, to the next person. By the time it gets there, it's going to be totally different. And that's how head content works, but heart content doesn't work like that. It's actually passed down not just for across generations, but across millennia, I would say, across all the way to infinity. And so how do we tap into that? And this is a tough time to do that. If you look at the AI world, in 1939, computing power was such that we could do 0.6 calculations, a little over half a calculation per day. 6 months ago, we were doing 150 billion calculations per second with the fastest chip. 6 months ago. Now, 1,500 billion calculations per second. But we're calculating, but what is actually beyond calculations? How are you going to calculate the yum? How are you going to calculate a certain kind of coherence? Gandhi's successor in India was a guy named Vinoba Bhave. Vinoba was sitting down one time and a reporter comes and he wants a comment from him. He's like, tell me, what are you going to say about this? What are you going to say? And this guy goes up and he says, so Vinoba doesn't want to say anything. This guy keeps pestering him. So he says, I need to say something to the reporter. He says, my friend, your tape recorder, at those times they had tape recorders. He says, my friend, your tape recorder will capture my words, but how will you capture my silence? And this, I think, is what it means to be human. I think we live in times where we are hungry for the human. But what does it mean to be human? We are all wearing these heart pins. These heart pins were made by women in a slum community of India. But they're not sold, they're gifted to us. And we're gifting it, say somebody's gifted it to me, and you get to carry it, and if somebody says nice heart pin, you pay it forward to them. And in that way, I'm not the keeper of this heart pin. The ripple didn't start with me, and the ripple doesn't end with you. And when we understand our roles as stewards in that way, I think we start to see a deeper layer. Thich Nhat Hanh had a very beautiful phrase. He was sitting in an assembly one time, there's a Vietnamese monk that Martin Luther King Jr. nominated for Nobel Peace Prize, took out a piece of paper and says, what do you guys see here? And everyone's like, I see a piece of paper. He says, where does the paper come from? A tree. What does the tree need to survive? Water. Where does the water come from? Some kid says, cloud. And so he turns to the audience and he says, how many of you can see the cloud in this piece of paper? That when we were looking at each other and saying, I see you, what are we seeing? How many layers deep are we willing to go? And I think that's what it means to be. It's not just a heart pin, it's like layers behind it. It's not just a human being on the other end. There's life force inside that is animating so much of emergence, as Lucy was saying. So my sense is, I'll end with a quote by Howard Thurman, who was actually a mentor to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And he had this incredible quote. He says, ask not what the world needs. He's telling Dr. King this. Don't ask what the world needs. Go out and do what makes you come alive, because what the world needs most are people who have come alive. And what he's saying with that aliveness, it's not just to say, hey, I feel happy doing this. He's saying, go deep in yourself, so deep that, and this is actually a quote from him, go so deep in yourself that you actually come out in the other. And having made that pilgrimage, he says, you can return back to yourself and everything will look totally different. He's talking about that aliveness where my presence meets your presence and it regenerates into something much greater than what any of us can imagine. Just this afternoon, I was talking about this idea of I was drinking water and I said, there's hydrogen and oxygen, but neither one of them knows what liquid is. But put in a certain configuration, it creates liquid. And I think the world today is thirsty. It needs us to come into these formations of compassion, of kindness, of care, so that we can birth a liquid property that none of us can individually fathom. But it will emerge as we come together in the right configuration. The world is thirsty. I hope we can create that murmuration. I'm very grateful to all the people here that have given us this small opportunity to do that. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Nipun. So rich. There's going to be a recording to look at it afterwards, for the ones you know want. And it's my pleasure now to introduce you to the last guest for tonight. The guest is less a guest than a person who is actually from here. Aurelio, originally from Austria. He has been living in India, in Auroville, for the last, I don't know, 3 decades? And also co-created this famous place in India. Well, I need to read it, I'm sorry. You are exploring a global language of sound and its healing potentials and cultural significance. Your journey has taken you to continents, across continents, learning from indigenous sound traditions and sacred music cultures, and led you to found Svaram, a pioneering social enterprise that crafts innovative instruments and empowers local youth. And you brought some instruments from India and are introducing us into your art now. Thank you.
I'm consciously retreating in one way also to honor that sacred space. I hope my voice will work. I'm living 12 degrees north of the equator and just arrived yesterday night basically here with an enormous change of temperature. We have an average temperature of 32 over the year, so I just stepped out of 35 degrees. But very happy to be here. I'm extremely happy actually to be in a church. I had 2-3 years ago in a project coming to Europe, visiting these amazing cathedrals, which were all built basically for a communication, creating community and communication with the mystery of life. I'm actually observed the space a little bit. I'm very happy it's a non-hierarchical space. The altar is in the center of it. It's not in the front, it's not elevated. We're all on an even plane here. And I was reflecting, how are those starlings who make those amazing murmurations, how are they connecting to the 7 other ones? What's the principle behind it? And I think actually it's resonance. I'm pretty much sure that we all have very different, we live in different mind spaces. We have our different stories, but in the heart actually there's something else, another language we can use, and music is a beautiful language for it. So I'm inviting you to co-create, basically, I'm aware at the time, we're a little bit over time already, to co-create this last moment together. I brought a very, an Indian instrument, and it's tuned to a very specific frequency, which relates to the movement of the earth around the sun. Yeah, so I'm taking the altar as the solar center. Very interesting if we take it, the sun is actually, this, for us, it's the symbol of light. It gives us light, it gives us life, but it's also the center of gravity. Very interesting thought that light and gravity is together in one place. To tune us in, I'm inviting you just to get up. That's what we do in churches. We sit and we stand and we knee, and yeah, so to keep the congregation alive. And I'm inviting you, I don't know if anyone in this long 2 hours we were listening, what happened to your breath? How much had you been connected with your breath? Could you connect? Was it showing up in between? So I'm inviting you to take some deep breath, and I'm just playing an instrument which is called the breath of the wind, just to help you to observe your breath, see if you can breathe all the way through your system from the top of the head into the soles of the feet. Okay. So be connected with your breath. I'm seeing what the breath is doing in the flute. See if you can keep that quality of the breath while you're sitting down. Find your center of gravity. The whole idea, what we're sharing, is how can we take that energy forward, which was created from people from so different places coming together, curious about all your amazing stories. As Lucy said, each one of you is, there's a consciousness in the room, we're sharing something. How can we enhance that and create that? Your center of gravity, which is possibly also the center of light, the sun. Just we worked a few times this evening with imagery. See if you can see the sun in the center of the solar system. We're just one of many planets. We are circling around it. It gives us the seasons, the changes. See if we can unite in that image and in that resonance around the solar center with just a hum. Let that hum travel inside, refresh you, energize you, calm you, whatever is needed. Just a few more breaths. Really spread it in every cell of your being. Vibrating around the sun of your heart. being in the resonance with what is created, what is around us. I want to honor basically this rather amazing nation of Austria. I've been around the planet for so many years in all different directions. About 500 years ago, Austria had a mystic motto. The 10 emperors, it was in the Babenberger times, the Habsburgers took it over. I think I'm okay, hopefully that I can mention history. Now, for our purpose, they used the motto, which is still not fully known what was behind it, and the motto had all the 5 vowels, A, E, I, O, U. Yeah, it was written on the seals, it was written basically on the documents of the nation, and we come from a hum. We go through different seasons when we travel around the sun. Yeah, there are ups and downs, there are winters and springs and summers and autumns. And so let's see how that hum expresses itself in all the different vowels. And it's up to you where you want to vibrate. You're opening into an A sound, an E sound, and see now from this unison, I heard already very beautiful that harmonies came out on the base of the drone. Let's see where it takes us, yeah? You have all the 5 vowels, yeah? Each one represents a different energy pattern, a different chamber of resonance. Let's see what happens if we open on the same frequency of the solar tone in all the 5 vowels. Just be free, open yourself, and yeah, A, E, I, O, U. Sensing the resonance embodied. I think we're ready for a final chant. Yeah, we build up from humming into the vowels, coming into articulation. I would like to share a small chant, which just came up actually in that final talk of Nipun. It is in English, very simple. It's actually a round also. Here are the words. Here and now I go the way, and the way in the sense of do, Japanese do, your way. Whatever is your way in your life, wherever you're called to whatever is your mission, what the path you are following, the way. Here and now I go the way. My heart keeps telling me here and now. Here and now I go the way. My heart keeps telling me here and now. I go the way my heart keeps telling me here and now. Yeah? And maybe we can do it actually, how to say, getting up, because it's about your own way. It's about your own steps. Hopefully giving you the energy to bring something forward from this amazing, beautiful evening. Melody is very simple. Here and now, I go the way my heart keeps telling me. Here and now, I go the way my heart keeps telling me. Here and now, I go the way my heart keeps. Keep it going. It's actually round, so maybe we can even space. And now I go the way my heart keeps telling me. Here and now, I go the way my heart keeps telling me. Here and now, I go the way my heart keeps telling me. Here and now. Keeps telling here and now, I go the way my heart keeps telling me. Here and now, 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 I go the way my heart keeps telling. Here and now, here and now, I go the way my heart keeps telling me. Taking it home in a hum. Bring it forward, love moving.
Thank you so much, Aurelio, for bringing your art. I'm tingling all over. This evening is coming to an end. How are you, Bettina?
To be bluntly honest, I have a 3-month-old baby right there, and I wasn't sure if I already have to feed it or not, so I got a little nervous in between because we're way over time, to be very honest. But I see it's sleeping, and I get a thumb up, so everything's okay. And apart from that, I feel whole. I feel whole. Something like my body feels filled up. Like I came here a little empty, maybe half empty. Now I feel whole. It feels really, really good. How are you?
I feel my heart is full and I feel nourished, and some words and inspirations are still reverberating in my mind, my heart. And I'm grateful. I'm very grateful for everybody of you taking the time and for having this feast, this kind of special Hochamt together. Without you, it would have been different.
Very nice.
And I'm grateful for, I mean, looking through all this, like looking through the eyes, seeing, or looking through the paper and seeing the cloud. It's just a miracle that we are all here in this space and time with these people coming from everywhere. So I'm really amazed and grateful.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. Okay. We say goodbye with one song. So we say goodbye to the people, and in the back we hear one more song. Shall we?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we say goodbye to everyone. Thank you very much for coming here.
Yeah. Pass on your heart pins.
Pass on your heart pins. And now in the back, when we walk out, we will hear one more song from a dear friend of many of us, Nemo. I think he's in India now, in America. We don't know where he is, but Nemo passively shares a song with us now, and yeah, that's the one who will send us home all together.
You are invited to dance also up here.
Yeah.
Come on. Thank you, Alex, also. Yeah, there will be T-shirts for some of you who want some on the way out. And if some of you want to stay here for cleaning up at the end, this is very welcome. Thank you.
You're my life, you're my breath, you're a smile, you're my guest, you're the earth, you're the sun, you're the grass, you are love. You're my hand, you're a bug, you're my eyes, you're a hug, you're the light in the dark, you're the spark, you are fun. You're my mom, you are water, you're the stars, you're my daughter, you're my friend till the end, you're my dreams, you're my father, you're the ants on the ground, the miracles that surround. I'm feeling it all around, the hemisphere in the clouds. You're my pain, you're my sorrow, you're my hope for tomorrow, you're the strength when I'm hollow, you're the path that I follow, you're the blessings that exist, the small things that are bliss, the gift to realize that everything all that I am, all that I see, all that I've been, and all that I'll ever be is a blessing. It's so amazing, and I'm grateful for it all, for it all. You're the lessons that I learned every time I turn around. You're the water when I'm burned every time I think I found everything I'm looking for. You're the sign saying stop to take a bow and keep moving forward and start looking towards your heart. It'll open all the doors and only then you'll start to hear the world singing chorus with your mind and heart. Aligned in purpose, everything will feel gorgeous. All that I see, all that I've been, and all that I'll ever be is a blessing. It's so amazing, and I'm grateful for it all. Every day I sit and pray 'cause what I have is more than I deserve or could ever imagine. How do I get back to all of this magic and spread the love so everybody can have it? Doesn't matter if I'm rich or poor, if I got a family or if I'm all alone. Bad things happen, I can just complain more. But there's a million things that I can be grateful for. So I lift up my hands now, and I open my heart, and my gratitude goes out to everything near and far. All that I am, all that I see, everything I hope, all that I've been, and all that I'll ever be. Deep down I feel all the blessings. exist, the small things that are bliss, the gift to realize that everything is a gift.